Number 1, John Kaler, 2 annuities for $518,860.
Hey, Beth, your math is so much better than mine. 5% of what John wrote this last week. What is that number?
I don't know.
Well, I guess just five. You said $500,000.
Looks like 25, almost 26,000, 25,900.
Wow. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, but wow. Please
No, I
continue.
was done with that list. Okay, now for the long list of top life producers for week number 4 in the month of February. Are we still doing okay? Can you need to
Perfect.
call or?
Absolutely perfect.
Okay, let's start with number 23, Carl Messmore. 1 application for $1,204. Number 22, Greg Greenwalt. 2 applications for $1,326. Number 21, Del Rice. 2 applications, $1,385. Number 20, Dennis Harnanen. 2 applications, $1,562. Number 19, Vicki Byers. 2 applications, $1,811. Number 18, Charles Fisher. 1 application, $1,853. Number 17, Paul Michael. 3 applications for $1,916. Number 16, Kevin Bianchi. 5 applications, $2,443. Number 15, Tim Lankford. 2 applications for $2,650. Number 14, Paul Kozak. 5 applications for $2,968. Number 13, Paul St. Laurent. 8 applications for $3,105. Number 12, Jim Meixner. 4 applications for $3,147. Number 11, Eric Coons. 3 applications, $3,159. Number 10, Eric Dane. 5 applications, $3,194. Number 9, Tim Barnfield. 3 applications, $4,799. Number 8, Talia Goldsmith. 6 applications, $5,071. Number 7, Frank Indris. 7 applications for $5,186. Number 6, Zach Rawson. 11 applications, $5,497. Number 5, Danielle Byrne. 1 application for $6,600. Number 4, Greg Stanley. 3 applications, $7,139. Number 3, Tommy Lee Paget. 1 application for $20,779. Number 2, Josh Sivak. 8 applications for $22,535. And at number 1 this for the 4th week, James DeWitt. 3 applications for $72,000. And those are the top life producers for week number 4.
Fantastic. Oh my goodness. Thank you, sweetheart. And I try not to call anybody else sweetheart. I've close friends, and it seems like it always happens with our speaker on last week. I'll I'll just get going. Josh will call me at certain times, and I've got my oldest son is also by the name of Josh, and I'll say, "Hey, sweetie," and it's just like, "Oops, I really didn't mean to do that, but I really can do this with my absolute phenomenal, beautiful bride." I hope that you paid attention to those numbers. It still just boggles my mind what we have just at our fingertips here, guys. Those were real numbers by Mr. DeWitt. He wrote 3 IULs this last week, $24,000 target for each of them. $72,000. Getting a little bit more real. But our speaker last week, Josh Sivak, he's writing 2 to 3 days a week, just like what you hear me stand on my grandstand and preach every week. He writes mortgage protection policies, and as of the end of week number 3 for 2016, he has submitted $59,000. One more $1,000 and he qualifies for, if he was writing $60,000 when all issue paid, that will qualify you listening to me going to Grand Cayman next year in 2017. So the little video that you saw earlier, that is where we're taking our agents to this year in Cancun in just a few weeks. $23,000 this last week on writing mortgage protection premium. Real numbers. Trying to get a little bit more realistic. The 7, the 5s, the 6s, the 4s, the $3,000 a week. How many people do we have writing those type of numbers every week? Just multiply that number by 75%. Most of those agents are what we call elite performers, producers. So they're going to be up in the 90, 100, and 110% contracts with us. You want to get to 125% contract? I'll show you how next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, every Tuesday at 11 a.m. we have our training webinar. You want to increase your contract? I will give you concrete steps and levels of showing you how that you can achieve that. That will happen this next Tuesday. All of that to say, this producer has just, again, I don't know any better way other than to say he has taken the insurance world by storm. And Stan, as you will hear in his voice, in the way that he has built his business, I don't see anyone better doing what Stan is doing in the life insurance world. Stan, I see you, and I am trying to unmute you. If you can, do I have you, Stan?
Tim, how are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. It says you're muted, but I can hear you. I want to make sure everyone else can hear you. Let me look over. Can you hear Stan? Dynamite. You are coming through bright and perfectly. I am blessed, my friend, more than I deserve. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, Tim, and I'm always humbled and honored whenever someone wants to ask me questions or learn what we do in our office or learn anything that we do, because I've basically learned from the best in the industry, from the Don Blantons, from the Len Reniers, from the Jay Beatties, from the Nelson Nashes of this world, and taken everything, every nugget that they've spit out, I've accumulated and just compiled in my brain, and I try and practice every day. So when I get the opportunity to give back, I take it as truly a blessing, and I'm extremely grateful.
Wow, that I couldn't have imagined you saying anything other than you're humbled and that you're giving other people much credit. As we spoke about just sharing with our agents today, I want them to hear just the passion, which has already started coming through in your voice, but maybe why you're in this business, how you got started, and what some of the key you're doing most of the time now. You're doing these educational seminars, sitting with folks, talking to them about doing their FAFSA. We can use any platform. Most of the agents on our call are using mortgage leads and sitting with folks, or a final expense lead. It doesn't matter. What is key in taking that to the next level after you've set the appointment? How are you connecting with people? What are some of the key things that's happening in your world to be able to typically our number one or number two producer for several years standing now of hundreds of thousands of dollars of premium every year?
Well, Tim, the first thing that I do is, well, the reason why I got in this business is because I wanted residual income. The biggest obstacle that I had in this business, to be completely honest, was the first 4 or 5 years I was making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, and the biggest battle I had was the ups and downs with the income and getting my wife on board. And it took me a couple of years to get to the point where I was no longer entertaining the thought, the idea, or the concept of following through on what other people wanted for me. What I mean by that is this. Everyone else was telling me, Stan, you need to quit this insurance business. You need to go put a resume together. You don't need to go find a job that's going to pay you $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year with health insurance and benefits and take care of your family. I actually got so angry and frustrated, I drew a line in the sand. And you can ask my wife this question to this day because she remembers this point too. I said, honey, if all you want is $60,000 a year, the first $60,000 a year I make you can keep. But everything above and beyond that, I get to keep. And in 5 years from now, when you're still driving a minivan and I have a Ferrari and I got vacations and lifestyle, don't yell at me. Get behind me and support me or not. And what was amazing at that point was I wasn't mean or angry with her, but she actually said, all right, I get it. Go do what you need to do, but if you're going to hold me to the fire and treat me like you want me to treat you owning a business, then physically treat it like a business. Show up every day. Follow up with your clients. Do what you don't want to do and produce. And that was a turning point. My father-in-law is Len Renier, who owns a great company called Wealth and Wisdom, and he told me, Stan, it'll take you 1,000 days to figure out how the industry works and then 1,000 days to implement it. And right about that 5.5-year mark, things started clicking, and I started making really good money, 100, 150, 200,000 a year. Started producing revenues of $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. Last year, I did the biggest case that I've ever done. I did $1 million a year annual premium, which has a residual of about $60,000 to $80,000 a year for the next 6 years. That's one case.
Wow.
And I love the idea of shooting the elephant. But Tim, what I hear most people in the industry do is they chase the elephant so much they forget to feed their families on a daily basis, which creates those ebbs and flows in income and creates dissension among the ranks. So I trust God. I pray every day that God uses my strengths, my talents, my abilities to get out there, have an impact in the families that we're meeting, create the leaders inside those families so that we can grow His kingdom and so that we can make an impact keeping His agenda first and foremost in our lives instead of me chasing a dollar. And what's amazing is the families that I meet with, they don't hear my commission in my voice. They don't hear how much money I'm going to make when I provide a solution. They hear that I'm truly keeping them at the center of the discussion, that I'm the advisor. And as you talked about, it's mortgage leads, it's final expense, it's med sup, it's, in my case, college. And when I walk in after doing a college presentation, people see me as the college guy. My biggest obstacle is, one, I'm young and extremely handsome, and people can't get over that. Actually, I'm kidding, of course. People see me as the college person. And when they see me as college, they don't want to ask me questions or let me handle their rollovers, their IRAs, their life insurance, and I feel pigeonholed. So the way I overcome that is I come in right off the bat and I answer all their questions about college, and I separate myself from the competition, letting them know that I'm an expert. And actually, your number one person for the last 4 weeks is James DeWitt. He works out of my office. It doesn't surprise me that the number one person on your team is someone who we've been working with for the last couple of years. In fact, I'd expect 5 out of your top 15 in the next 12 months to come out of my office, just because of how we handle ourselves in front of a client, how we don't show up just as the mortgage person, how we're not so excited to get an application that we run away from the house hoping they don't change their mind, but how we truly hold ourselves out as professionals. And here's an example. If I was going in under a mortgage lead or a final expense or a FAFSA, I'm going to walk in and I'm going to truly be the expert and the professional in that area. But some of the things that I'm going to recommend or that I'm going to talk about are going to let them know that not only do I understand mortgage protection and you need to protect the balance in case something happens, and I understand that a lot of times people are short for their weight, people are smokers, they don't have a ton of money, but it's my job to go in and find the money. So I want to lead with a fact finder, and I know you do a fact finder, Tim, with the mortgage leads because the guys use it. But I think it's the conversations around that fact finder that would separate you from the pack. So when I ask somebody what their mortgage amount is, how much they have to pay per month for their mortgage, how much income they make, one of the other questions I'm going to ask are, how long have you been working at the job that you've been at? If they tell me they've been at the job for 3 years or 5 years and they're in their 50s, I'm going to ask where they worked before. Because in my mind, that's a leading indicator that they probably have an old IRA or an old 401k that needs to be managed and controlled. I also want to let them know that we have the ability to take this fact finder, have quality conversations about their unfunded future health care liabilities. If you think not making your $300 a month mortgage payment stressful, how are you going to feel when you have a $100,000 a year unfunded health care liability in the future? Imagine you just pay your house off. Now you've got to pay $100,000 for in-home care or out-of-home care when you're 72. How do you refinance your home when you don't have the income to get the money out? So you've protected yourself from death against your mortgage, but is there other areas that you're left exposed to? And if I can take this fact finder and gather a little bit more detailed information about how your personal economy works, maybe I can help you accomplish all of these goals without spending one more dime than you're currently spending. Does that sound like a conversation we should have? And I'm going to get permission to gather more information. Now, I've already taken the mortgage application for the mortgage program. I've already taken the final expense application, so I'm covering my bases. I'm doing what I came to do first. But then I'm going to take the rest of this information and come back with solutions that will enhance, increase, or be better for the rest of their picture. So I want to make sure that they're not double paying for benefits that they currently have. So if I have the ability to find out that their work offers a group insurance program, that'll take care of the family. My mortgage protection or the final expense might come into play. But if I find out that their company offers a 401k and they're putting 15% but there's no match, I might want to reallocate that 401k dollars to fund an IUL that has a tax-deferred growth that has an additional death benefit for the family. So the mortgage protection is there for the mortgage. They need something to protect the family. But that also has maybe a long-term care benefit. I might find out that they've been working at a company for 25 years. They've got $300,000 in the 401k, and I can take an in-service withdrawal and put it into an annuity that has a long-term care-like benefit without a medical exam. Would you like to have a long-term care benefit without taking a medical exam? What if I can give it to you as part of a program that will guarantee your income to make sure that your mortgage payment is made when you stop working, or to make sure that you have lifestyle money when you stop working? So I want to ask them, if they're not too old, do they have a Social Security plan? They do know that they just took away and changed the Social Security strategies, eliminating the spousal benefit, flipping back to your own benefit. What if we could maximize their Social Security benefit that would leave their surviving spouse a 20 to 30% increase in income when they pass away? Is that a conversation we should have? Do you have kids or grandkids? Do you want to take care of them? What if you had the ability to leave a legacy for your kids or grandkids? Would you do it? Well, most people answer that question and say, I'm trying to figure out how to pay $80 a month to protect my mortgage, survive on my current income, let alone leave something to the kids or grandkids. Well, I already know they're going to answer the question that way. So my follow-up question is, what if we could leave a legacy to your kids or grandkids without affecting your lifestyle during retirement? Would you do it? You hear the question I'm asking is leading them down a path to say, yes, we would. As soon as they say, yes, we would, I know I'm going to win that battle, because when I come back and I have a death benefit on the annuity, or I have additional death benefit for the IUL, I already know I've got that emotional pain point driven to the point where I say, you're living on the same income when you retire. I've given you an extra $22,000 a year of long-term care-like benefits, and when you pass away, there's $112,000 above and beyond what you currently have that goes to your kids or grandkids. What direction would you like to go? And they're going to come back and say, well, your solution has everything that we talked about. It sounds like you're the first person in the financial world who actually listened to my concerns in that fact finder and came back and solved my problems. And then I'm ready to get started. Well, we've taken care of your final expense and your mortgage. Let's get you fully underwritten to see if you qualify and see what the insurance carrier thinks of your health, so we can determine how much we want to buy. And I let them know if they're short for their weight, if they've got diabetes or blood pressure. I've done the research to know which carriers work, but I'm going to let them know that we're basing this on building it for cash value funding, giving you a legacy of long-term care, not just death benefit. So this isn't as sensitive as term insurance on your health underwriting. I will design it to make sure that your goals are accomplished throughout the process. And it might mean we take $50,000 less initial death benefit to secure your future, but that's okay because we're designing this for those purposes. And what's amazing is, I talked to Jim last week when he submitted those applications, and it wasn't a one-meeting close. He didn't show up and do a quick calculation on the computer and do $80 a month. We're talking about $1,000, $2,000 a month that these people are putting into the programs. You have to show up like the expert. So look the part. Wear a collared shirt. Comb your hair. Make sure you don't have big bushy eyebrows like Andy Rooney on 60 Minutes. Be well groomed. If you want to be treated as a professional, look like a professional. Communicate clearly. Speak with passion. If you listen to yourself, call yourself and leave yourself a voice message. If you fall asleep listening to yourself on the voice message, chances are you need to learn how to communicate with enthusiasm. And if you are excited, maybe you need to let your face know you're excited so other people can see it. And if you're listening to me thinking, man, this guy's had too much coffee this morning, I run at this pace all day, every day. I speak with conviction. I do my research. I show up prepared. I don't treat my business like a hobby. And people respect the advice that I give. Now, Tim mentioned that I've been in the top 5 for the last couple years at Gordon Marketing, and while that's tremendous, the real value of the success is when I get 5 people in the top 15 for life and annuity. And Jim's doing a bang-up job. I know Bob, I know Fred, I know Gary, I know Edwin. These guys are out busting their butt every day, hitting home runs every once in a while, but hitting singles, doubles, and triples on a weekly basis. And just because I'm the one who's doing a little bit of the teaching doesn't mean that I'm not out there competing too. This week, in fact, right before we got on the program, I closed a $300,000 annuity. I wrote $12,000 of target premium in the last 2 weeks. I've got a $480,000 annuity sitting out there. Monday, I hope to get buy-in on a $1.9 million annuity, a $60,000 annual premium, a $250,000 single premium, and a $140,000 single premium on a 78-year-old mom. And those seems like big numbers that are unachievable, but you only get to that point if you start having success at the level you're at right now and then building. Another reason why our office is so successful is because we work in teams constantly. I didn't need to bring someone in on my cases, but I do 100% of the time because it lets the client know that we have a continuation plan. What happens if Stan gets hit by a bus? Well, there's Chris who can work with him. There's Bob, there's Jim, there's Will, there's Desiree, there's Marge. We train everybody the way people used to get trained in the 1900s with an apprentice program, hands-on. So they get to see how we work, how we handle objections, how we learn, how we close the deal, how we shut up after we ask the buying questions and let the client answer first to make sure we win. how we don't lick the cookie after they've already bought it. How many times have you had someone buy something and then you're there for 2 hours later and you walk out without an application? There's so much to learn. And I love this business so much because we get to go and change people's lives. We get to empower people to be the leaders in their family the way Wall Street can't, the way the government can't, the way welfare can't, the way the educational system can't. Because we get into their personal economies. We get to find out their true dreams and goals. We get to help them achieve little pieces of it on a weekly basis. Every time we meet with them, we're adding value the way no one else is. And I wouldn't change what I do for anything in the world. And I'm so grateful that God opened up this opportunity. When I grew up, I never wanted to be an insurance salesman, just like people don't wake up when they're 8 years old and say, I want to be an alcoholic, go to jail, or be a mass murderer. I didn't wake up at 8 years old and say, I want to be in the insurance business. But God opened the right doors, and I was willing to take the right steps. I was willing to educate myself, to learn, to hang out with winners, to listen. If you listen to today's call and every Friday call that Tim does and you leave, shut your office door and forget everything, you don't expect to change. You need to take one thing from every training that you listen to and implement it. What's the one nugget that you got out of today? The one nugget that you got out of today is when we hung up, that guy's an idiot and a goofball and I'm never doing anything like him. Well, if that's what you want to do, implement it. But every time someone talks who has something more than what you have, you need to implement it. Someone once told me, Stan, you don't know what you don't know because you don't have, and to know and not to have is not to know. You know? What that meant is I don't know it all, I don't have it all, and until I do, I need to keep learning. So I need to keep learning so I can keep knowing. And that's what we're hoping to do today. And if I'm telling you anything different than the person who's financially invested in your business is telling you, listen to the person who's financially invested. Tim, I'm going to stick around for questions and answers, and I'm going to be done because you said I had 20 minutes, and I think I'm at my point, but I really appreciate the opportunity. I wish success for everybody. If I can do anything to help anybody, and you can get on my calendar, I'll spend as much time as I need to make sure that you get whatever you need from me or my team.
Guys, there's no way that I could have prepared you well enough for Stan's, I don't know any other better way to describe it other than contagious enthusiasm. My wife and I have been blessed to be able to have met Stan now well over a year ago, and it's just been such a tremendous, going actually on 2 years now. And at this expo, we'll be at 2. Yes, Kim, that's a good way to describe it, a fire hose. But excuse me, I believe you guys are going to be tremendously blessed by this, taking just some of that enthusiasm, some of that Stan bore his heart to you and saying that it's not an overnight business. And he has built just a tremendous opportunity with his working with the FAFSA people and being able to absolutely, Fred, good point. I'm reading as you send in questions and comments, guys. If you hear my commentary, that's what that's being called. That's the thought behind what I'm sharing. Any questions for Stan? I know he has a very intrinsic is probably a good way to describe his seminar that he gives to schools, talking about not so much about Social Security planning, Shawner, but maybe we could go in and we would be able to maybe on a webinar, possibly in the future, maybe sometime after our expo, if Stan would be willing to do a training webinar. So without trying to do too much training today, I want to be able to keep this more on the emotional side of the call. But maybe
Hey, Tim?
Yes, sir.
We actually do college presentations, middle school presentations, I have a Social Security presentation that our office is doing on March 10th. We do a business owner presentation for CPAs, and that's why this fact finder that we use is so important, because no matter where my door gets opened up from, I don't want to be pigeonholed as just the Social Security guy. just the business guy, just the middle school guy, just the college guy.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Well said. And there you go with hearing the broad array that this business can do. Get cash flow, get your business going. Don't be afraid to go and make those 10, 12, and 15 appointments a week. Use an existing book of business. Go to your mortgage guy, go to your CPA, go to anyone you've ever spoken to or heard about, talking to a lawyer. Develop and I've appreciated, Stan, really the first time I heard about developing your stallions. You remember that conversation, Stan?
Yep. Feed the stallion, starve the ponies.
There you go, guys. Your stallion, if you are able to take this stallion of, and we'll just call it mortgage protection, but just like Stan was saying, he's not going to be pigeonholed, and I don't want you to be either. Now, we do have a one-stop shop when it comes to getting the mortgage protection. You do not want to leave that home without an application to protect the mortgage. But remember what our fact finder does. It talks about how are they happy with their safe money. When it talks about their 401k, when you hear somebody who's between ages of 25 and 45 with a $75,000, $100,000 income and they're very healthy, that should scream IUL to you. However, dial it back. Do what they've asked you to do. Go and write that mortgage protection application on them. Write that application and you are one and done with mortgage protection. However, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I see that you were talking about safe money. We were talking about other funds you have to pay off this mortgage. Are you satisfied or happy with how the funds have been performing in this 401k you left at your previous employment? How they answer that will determine whether or not you come back a week from that day to talk to them about an annuity. We have until April 30th to reach out to seniors about the changes in Social Security. Does Stan have a off-the-shelf seminar for this? Stan, any comment on that?
We're actually redesigning the old presentation. We were using the one that Christy Sparks had, so the presentation that you guys use is the one we use, but we're updating it, changing it to reflect the new changes. It'll be done by March 10th, I can guarantee that.
To try to capitalize before the April 30th deadline. Lots of opportunities out there, guys, to make sure you're taking the blinders off and taking care of your friends that you're sitting with, the new families that you are trying to protect. Take your blinders off, make sure that you know what a single premium whole life is. Do you hear the numbers that, oh, by the way, this is being recorded. Stan, I guess I should have warned you ahead of time. You're going to be going out on our airways. I know you're okay with that, but if you go to YouTube and you just type in mortgage protection and then my name, Tim Lankford, Lankford, you will see about a dozen or so of videos as well as our most recent webinars and conference calls. Yes, on Friday, we still use the GoToWebinar. It's really not a webinar, so it's not a PowerPoint. We're using this so that I can read just as you guys are doing right now, sending in questions without me trying to unmute a mic and have a lot of other noises that we don't want. So Shawner is asking, can we get a copy of his new Social Security presentation? Is that something, or would that be something we could probably send them to Shawner? I would send you more to Christy right now than to Stan. That's kind of more for his office, but Christy can get you a good leg up on that presentation. Is that fair to say, Stan?
Absolutely.
Very good. And then I've got, so mortgage protection, Tim Lankford. I wanted to make sure to tell you about that, as well as March 10th. It is just 2 weeks away from yesterday. So just March 10th. And you're coming down with some of your guys, aren't you, from Expo, Stan?
Yeah, Will and I are going to be there, and I think I'm going to be in Cancun with you guys too on this year's trip. So
Very, very cool. So come and meet Stan in person. That's going to happen March 10th here in Indianapolis. Just send me your email saying, hey, make sure I get signed up for Expo. And you'll have to you're going to have to dig deep into your pockets because there's no charge for that. Isn't that ridiculous? Every other FMO I've ever been associated with, they want to charge you 60, 80. I was paying $399 to attend my expo from my last FMO I was with a couple years ago. Ours is at no cost. You will, again, kind of back to our illustration of a fire hose, you will have a dozen other carriers going in and just feeding you with new ideas and creative ideas of how to get your name brand out there. And we want to make sure all you need to do is you'll pay for your transportation and your room. However, the entire day, the breakfast, the lunch is all included by your mere presence on Expo Day, March 10th. Stan, thank you so much. You've been very generous with your time. And any closing thoughts to share with our agents?
just that the Gordon team and everyone there, the reason why we still work with Gordon is because it's family. They 100% give whatever you need and support. They bring in the best of the best. The Life Expo, I've walked away with each of the last 5 or 7 years with nuggets that have impacted and changed my business. And the people that I network with over there, find out what they're doing, absolutely tremendous. And I'm looking forward to meeting some people from this call while we're there.
Fantastic. Guys, you know how I end every one of my training webinars and our conference calls? I tell you 3 things. If you do these 3 things, you will not only make more money than you ever have in your entire life, you will be a blessing to others. Number 1, if you will be an agent who is making it happen, like Stan's making it happen. If you'll be an agent who's making it happen, you will absolutely destroy in a positive way your income. Number 2, you would tremendously bless your family by not only with that income, but with your presence, because you're going to find more time to develop a lifestyle. And if you take care of number 3, the first 2 are always taken care of. So number 3, if you will be an agent who's making it happen, you go out, you take care of that new family you meet in the field, you will totally take care of the first 2. Guys, go out, be an agent who's making it happen. I wish you many blessings, and make sure that you plug in on Tuesday. We'll go through our contract levels, increase your contract without even having to work longer hours after you've increased that contract. Guys, God bless you.